Session, we will see how ARIA can be used to make HTML forms more accessible. Specifically, the use case that we will look at is that this first name text box here is required. And if the user were to tab out of this first name text box without entering any value, then an error message should be generated. So we are looking at two notifications here for accessibility. The first notification should inform the user by a voice prompt that first name is required. And the second notification should get triggered if the user were to tab out of first name without entering any value. And at that point, a voice notification should get generated that the first name is required. So let's enable Chrome Vox here.
Chrome Demo tab.
And let's refresh this
Demo,
page.
first name, edit text required.
So let's do it again.
Demo, first name, edit text required.
So probably you may have noticed that Chrome Vox announced that first name is required. Now let's tab out of first name, and at that point without entering any value, and at this point we expect a voice notification that first name is required and the focus should remain on first name.
First name, edit text invalid input required. First name required, alert.
So as you can tell, a voice notification was generated that first name is required. Now let's look at the code behind this and see how this is achieved. Let's look at these 4 lines of code. The first line of code here is for the input box of text, and it has 2 aria attributes. The first says that aria-required is true, which is how when the form was initially opened, it announced that first name is required. And then the second attribute is aria-invalid is false. And at beginning, the form is valid. So there are no invalid attributes, which is why this aria-invalid is false. What we want is that if the user were to tab out without entering any value here, then programmatically we need to set this value to true. And additionally, below you would see a division of which is called name error message. It could be called anything. This is what I choose to name it. And it has aria-hidden of true, which means that initially it is not seen, the screen reader does not detect it, and it has this aria role of alert. Now, aria role of alert is used to communicate an important and usually time sensitive message to the user. And in this particular case, through JavaScript here, we read the first name, and if the first name is null, then we set its invalid to true. And we also set the error div hidden to false, which means that now the screen reader can detect this error div and set the focus back to the first name here, so that
Window demo tab. Demo, first name, edit text required. First name, edit text invalid input required. First name required, alert.
And that is how we display the error message that the first name is required. The way this alert would work is, the role of alert would work is that when it became enabled, it would display whatever was within its, the message which was contained within its element, which in this case is first name required. So again, through the combination of aria required and aria invalid, which are programmatically set depending on the appropriate condition, and through a div which is initially hidden, which has a role of alert, you can make the form more accessible to your users.